Oh, gotta put my eyeballs on. Hold on. Got to put my eyeballs on so I can see what I'm doing. Alright guys, as usual, we got a tall truck here, and I use the step, but I always stand right here on these trucks. I stand up here, and I put my bag through the crack of the truck right there, as you can see. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I just hang it over the door. And we got a good chip here we got to repair this morning. Beautiful day. My God, it's beautiful. I knew it was going to be a warm spring. It's not even really considered spring yet. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I can't remember what the official first day of spring is, but I think it's spring now. I've already drilled this one, so I'm not going to show that, because I drilled it while the customer was out here talking to me. And I decided to make a video, so he went back in to finish his lunch. And because it's so warm now, we're going to be switching over to the medium resin instead of the CR resin, because you know the CR resin's great for cooler temperatures, but once it's above like 50 degrees, I switch over to the medium, and that's all I use. The CR resin's great for cooler temperatures, but it's not cool right now. It's nice and warm. Trying to figure out where to shade that. Okay, right there. I have to keep it shaded, obviously. And I know you're probably not able to see very much with the camera, the way it is and the way this chip is and the way I have to stand on the truck here and everything else. So he just bought this truck. I've done work for him in the past on his other truck, which was a Dodge 1500, and it wasn't strong enough to pull his boat. And the last time I was here, I worked around back in the garage, or by the garage. This time I'm right out front here, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see what I'm doing because I have to keep it shaded. But this is the windshield's not, I mean, it's a little above neutral, so it's a little warmer than my hand. We're probably at 60 degrees right now in temperature, which is beautiful because I don't have to wear a glove or jacket or anything on my bike, which is wonderful. And if the windshield was fully in the sun, this would have filled a lot faster, but because it's sort of shaded by some little trees behind me here, the windshield's not extremely warm, so we're not going to push, rush the issue on getting it filled. We're going to let it just fill. We're not going to push it too fast or too hard. We're going to do multiple vacuum and pressure cycles in order to get it to fill properly. And she is filling. It's just going to take a little effort here because the resin is a little thicker than the CR resin, and it's just going to take a little bit longer. If I was using the CR resin, this would have already been filled. But like I said, I get a much less visible repair. It's much less visible when I do it like this than it is doing it with the CR resin. And I don't mind using the CR resin at all. I don't mind it. It's great for cooler temperatures, but when it's warm, once it starts warming up and the temperatures start coming up and everything starts going good, I get to work with that medium resin. I'm going to pull a vacuum again. Now you saw I just backed off my pressure a little bit because this line was opening up a little too far. Not the pressure on the tool itself, I mean the pressure on the resin. I backed off the pressure on the tool itself because I don't want these lines to open too much too fast. And that's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to, is that you can regulate the amount of pressure you're putting on the glass. That's why I keep my hand on there, so I can regulate. And you can look in the mirror at the white cup. See if I can zoom in here at the white seal. You see when I put less pressure on it and more pressure on it. So I like to get it to where I can see that the resin that's on the seal is right out to the edge. That way I know that's the perfect amount of pressure that I'm putting on this chip. And it's good if you pay attention to that kind of stuff. And if you start to leak a little bit, you can always adjust your pressure a tiny bit more if you need to. But see, I'm holding it steady while I'm pressurizing the resin, and you can watch that seal expand in the mirror. You know you're getting plenty of pressure on that resin. And I can even back the pressure off on the tool a little more and keep the same amount of pressure on the resin. As you can see, I can back that tool off to where the resin is almost, you know, I can add pressure or back off pressure on the tool. And I watch my lines. And if I see a line starting to open up, I'm always adjusting my pressure. I don't know if I've ever talked about that, but yes, I hold it while I'm doing a vacuum and pressure cycle. I hold it, but I'm also always adjusting my pressure slightly. And you guys probably didn't know that, because I've never really talked about it. But I'm always adjusting. I'm always paying very close attention to the lines. If I see a line starting to open up, I adjust the pressure. Not on the resin. And sometimes I'll adjust the pressure on the resin, but most of the time I just adjust the pressure on the tool. So once that cup starts to expand, you know you've got enough pressure on that resin. You don't need to pressurize it any more than that. And then I can adjust pressure on the tool itself. And as long as I'm not leaking, I know there's enough pressure pushing down on the glass to fill those lines. So I'm not concerned about that. As long as it's not leaking, there's enough pressure on the glass. And it looks like we're getting a really good fill on this one, so we're backing that pressure off of that tool. Let those lines close up. Yeah, we're getting a really good fill here. It's all about paying attention and just studying your repair and knowing what you're doing, and not getting out of control with your pressure on your tool and such. Now this isn't going to be 100% invisible. They never are. They're never 100% invisible. But it's going to be awful close to invisible. And now see, this is what happens when your seals get too fat and puffy. They start popping out of your tool and you'll lose one. So it's time to change that. I've already changed it once this week, but I've done a lot of repairs. So it's time to change it again. And we'll just use the mirror here, get a good cure. No sense in using the light if I don't have to. Just use the mirror. And we'll cure it up this way. Now this isn't going to be 100% invisible, and I always tell my customers that. Even if I can make it mostly invisible, I can never make them 100% invisible. So I just want them to know that it's never going to be 100%. And then if it turns out 100% invisible, they're happy. Then they've gotten more than they expected. I never go into a repair with the attitude or with telling the customer, oh yeah, I'm the best in the business and nobody's better than me and I'm going to make this 100% invisible and you'll never even know it was there and all this. You know, a lot of people will talk a big game, and then when they're done and the customer can still see the chip slightly, they're like disappointed. I would rather the customer be happy that it's less visible, happy that it's invisible when I can make them invisible and things like that, rather than, hold on a second guys, I've got a bug inside my shirt. I thought I felt something fly inside my shirt while I was riding the bike, and sure enough, the hell is it? Little bee. So I try to remember to keep my top button on my shirt buttoned, because I thought something flew inside my shirt, and it was just now kind of, I don't know if that little bee could sting or what, but it was kind of biting me or something. It kind of hurt. It stung a little bit. So I had to get him out of my shirt. And of course, getting him out of my shirt, I killed him. Didn't mean to, but you know, you don't know what it is if you can't see it. You don't know if it's a wasp or a hornet or a yellow jacket or a honeybee or a black widow or what. You know, so better to just kill it and get it out of the shirt. That way I don't have to worry about it. I'm not sure what kind of bee that was. It might have been a little alfalfa bee or something. So yeah, that's not completely invisible, but it's a lot better than it was. And I'm sure the customer will be happy. That's a good job. I wish I could make every chip invisible, but you just can't. Just impossible to do. This pretty tall truck here. Yeah, that's much better. Much better. It just kind of looks like a bug splatter from inside now. So I'm sure you'll be happy with that. Alright guys. What I need to do now, I said it before in another video, I keep one tool, and then this tool hasn't even been used this week yet, so the seal on it is still perfect, so we'll just switch tools now. That one will go in the bottom of the bag, and I'll start using this one. I use one tool at a time for as long as I can. If I've got multiple repairs on a vehicle and I'm in a rush, depending on the type of chip it is, I might use both tools. Like if I have a star break and a bullseye on a vehicle, you know, two separate chips, I'll put the tool on the bullseye because it's way less chance of it cracking. Then I'll put the tool on the bullseye chip and get it pressurized and everything and shaded, and then I'll move over and I'll do the other chip, the star break, where I can keep monitoring the pressure on it and stuff like that while I'm doing it, and then I don't have to worry about it. Is that another chip? No, that's a scuff. Okay, well, we're good on this one. And then that way I can monitor the one with the lines in it so it doesn't crack while I'm repairing it. And then the bullseye chip can just fill on its own. And I'll go back around and do a vacuum and come back around and work on the star break and things. So I will use multiple tools when necessary. You've seen those videos. Alright guys, I got to get on my bike and head for the next one. So I'll see you in my next video.